Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today I thought I'd take you all through a detailed look at the products that I use to put together my 2022 budget book, which is the printable version of the Budget by Paycheck Workbook from the Budget Mom. If you all are interested in seeing that, please stick around. So I want to preface this video with stating that I'm currently dog sitting my sister's dog. And so if you hear barking or a collar rattling or anything like that in the background, that is why. Here we have my 2022 budget book, which again is the newest version of the Budget by Paycheck Workbook from the Budget Mom. I do keep my budget book in this hardcover. This cover is from Staples. It's from the Martha Stewart collection. It does have like a nice fabric, like a linen fabric on it. I love it. I think it's durable. I like the look of it. And I do have it on some metal discs. So I purchased the printable version of the Budget by Paycheck Workbook in order to put it on discs. I love discs. They work really well for me, especially somebody who's left-handed. I'm able to take the pages out to write on them. And it's kind of the ideal binding situation for me. So these are metal discs. They are from HP. There's a bunch of different brands and companies that sell both metal and plastic discs. I do prefer metal discs. I just think they're more durable. And these are in 1.25 inch. So if I hold up the planner like that, that's what they look like. When I open up the planner, I do start out with the cover here, and I wanted to kind of take you all through the different products that I use to put this together. I definitely get a bunch of questions on Instagram about how I print the Budget by Paycheck Workbook and what I use to print it. Now, I do have a video up that talks about the process of me putting a printable Budget by Paycheck Workbook together, and I talk about how I print it, and I do mention the materials that I use. So if you want to watch that video, I think it's a good companion video to this one. I'm going to link that right up here. But I try to keep things pretty minimal when I'm printing stuff on my own, and so I use two different types of paper and I use a punch. And that's pretty much it when it comes to printing the workbook itself. I do have a couple other products or things that I want to share with you all that kind of go along with what I use for my budgeting in general. So a page like this, like the cover of the Budget by Paycheck Workbook, I print on a thick cardstock. So this is one sheet here. It's very thick. There's absolutely no bleeding through it or ghosting through it. And this is, let me pull it, hang on. Sorry there's going to be a lot of crinkly noises in this video, so I apologize for that. But I basically use this cardstock. So this is from Staples. I purchased Staples brand. It was, I think, kind of the cheapest that they had and also the thickest that I found. This is 110-pound cardstock, and it came with 250 sheets, so this thing is going to last me a really, really long time. I do like how thick it is. It works well, I think, and I basically use this when I'm printing covers and dividers. So let me just put this aside. And basically, so this cover here, I use cardstock, and then for every divider sheet that I have, even though it doesn't have a tab on it, I do use the 110-pound cardstock as well. Towards the back of my planner, I do have a bunch of like printables. Like I have the cover of the 2022 Savings Challenges, even though I have them monthly in the actual budget book. I have the tracker, and I printed these on the 110-pound cardstock as well. I just thought that would be a good idea to make them more durable. So I have those all printed in that nice thick cardstock. Next, when it comes to printing all of the other sheets, like the second page in the monthly spread and all of the paycheck budget trackers, all of my expense trackers, let's see, the debt payment plan, net worth, and then the Where Did My Money Go worksheets, those are all printed with normal printer paper, whatever normal means. But they're not thick 110-pound cardstock. I didn't think that was necessary, but I definitely wanted a nice thick paper that wasn't going to allow for any ghosting or bleeding. I do tend to be pretty heavy-handed, even though I use a very like thin nibbed pen. I don't even know, or thin point pen. I use this Muji gel pen that's here on the side. It's 0.38 millimeters, but I'm still very heavy handed and I hate when you get ghosting. I also use highlighters in here, as mostly in the expense trackers, which mine isn't filled out. It's actually December 31st when I'm filming this. It's not gonna post until the end of January, but yeah, I basically use them to mark off the different categories in my expense trackers. So highlighters, especially because I am heavy-handed and I press down really hard, they can bleed through really easily. That's one kind of issue I had when I was using the actual printed version of the Budget by Paycheck Workbook. So I definitely wanted to use a really thick paper when printing out the regular sheets. I just didn't think I needed to use cardstock. So I ended up finding, when I went to Staples and found that cardstock, they actually had this HP paper as well. It's a heavyweight project paper. It's actually 40 pounds, which is awesome. And I purchased it and I tried it and I absolutely loved it. This is actually a new pack because I'm almost through the one that I used to print this. I used it to print a bunch of other things like planner inserts and stuff like that for my catch-all planner. I absolutely love the paper. I can't recommend it enough, truly. It just works really, really well. It's worked so well for the second half of 2021, which is when I started using a printable budget book. And it continues to work really, really well for me. So those are the two types of paper that I use when I'm printing the Budget by Paycheck Workbook. The next thing that I use, or the next product that I use in order to kind of put this thing together, is a punch. So this is a HP punch. It's the big punch. I've had it for years. I had it well before I started budgeting and I never really used it, and I was always contemplating getting rid of it, and I'm so glad I didn't. I actually got this on clearance from Michael's, which is shocking to me, and I swear it must have been an error because they still sell these and they still sell them regular price, but I got it on clearance, which was awesome. And I'm really glad that I went with the big one because that's the size that I need to print inserts for my budget book. HP has 3 different sizes, or at least like 3 main sizes. They have their big, their classic, and their mini. For my budget book, for the Budget by Paycheck Workbook, I try to keep things as simple as I can for myself, and I also like having plenty of room to write. And so I print on regular 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. I don't cut this paper down at all to print on it. I literally just take the paper out of the package, put it right in my printer, and I print directly on it. I believe I do print these sheets at like 95% what the document is, in order for them to just fit a little bit better and have a little bit more of an edge over here. But I use 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper intentionally. That just is the easiest. And so it goes on 11 discs. That's what we have here. And this punch can punch 11 for 11 discs. That's what these larger line, or these outer lines are. The inner lines are to print something for classic HP size. So it's really nice that with this punch you can do both. So that's the next product that I use. With those 2 different types of paper and that punch, you can put this thing together and you would be pretty much all set. Yes, I include a cover, but that's not a necessity. Another thing that is not a necessity, but that I actually added this year, and I'm so glad I did, are these divider tabs that I have here on the side. They're probably hard to see because they're clear. I didn't label them. I'm not going to label them. They are frosted dividers. You can still see through them really nicely when they're laid flat. And they are from Jane's Agenda. I will link Jane's Agenda down below. They sell dividers in all different sizes, and I was super happy to see that they sell in big HP size. It's kind of hard to find big HP sized plastic dividers, and they're super expensive when you do find them. So I that's kind of part of why I never got them in 2021, but I ended up ordering them for Black Friday 2021. So I got a really great discount, and they are reusable and they're nice and thick, and I know I'm going to be able to use them for years to come. And it is just a little bit easier to be able to like pick up the tab and get yourself over to, you know, your February or whatever month. So I am, while it's not a necessity, I am glad that I ended up picking those up. Two other products that I do think are great to have when you're budgeting, but again, not necessities. One I kind of touched on earlier, and it's highlighters. So I use highlighters in order to mark off the different categories of my expenses when I'm writing them in my expense trackers. Each one of these highlighters is a different category or has a different meaning or intention for me. This orange, whenever I purchase something with sinking funds, I use that. This orange color here, lighter orange, is for eating out. This is for debt. This is used for my savings challenges in my monthly spreads, and I also use it for the miscellaneous bills category that I have. This here is for giving. This lighter blue is for groceries. This darker teal is for gas. This purple's for savings. This kind of magenta color is for my utilities. This other, I don't even know what you call it, periwinkle maybe, that's for my rent or my housing. I use gray for income. I use pink for miscellaneous expenses. So they all kind of have a category or correspond to a category. And I love these in particular. Mild liners have become really, really popular. They can be a little bit pricey, but I love the variety that you get in this package. I have seen this package at stores like Joann's and Michael's going for like $30, which to me is insane. I would recommend, if you're interested in investing in these, to look around. I definitely feel like you can find them cheaper on Amazon. You could probably find them cheaper on other sites. And so I would just look around and try to like find the best deal, wait until you have a coupon, that kind of situation. The last product that I wanted to share that, again, is not a necessity with regards to putting together the Budget by Paycheck workbook or any type of printable planner or workbook that you're using, but that I really like, is this Fisker's paper cutter. So this is a tiny one. If I hold it this way, you can see it's really small. I do eventually want to get a larger one, or one that I can like cut multiple sheets with at one time, but I don't really have any place to store a larger one right now. And honestly, you know, with the amount that I use it, this is fine. You know what I mean? It does have this little flap here so that you can put a sheet of paper in, and then this guy right here is what you push up and down in order to cut a sheet of paper. Now, I do use this when I am cutting sheets of paper down to classic HP size for my catch-all planner, if I'm doing printables in that planner. But with regards to budgeting specifically, I really often use this when I'm printing my cash envelopes. So I try to be as much of an all cash spender as I can, and I do use cash envelopes for my variable expenses. I try to switch them up like once a month or every other pay period, just to keep things fun and interesting for me with regards to budgeting. And this just makes cutting those out a lot easier. Any straight edge, I'm able to just like quickly cut with this, and then I can use a pair of scissors just for the rounded corners. So if you're somebody who prints a lot of cash envelopes or uses printables that they have to like trim down and stuff, this might be, you know, an investment that might be worthwhile for you. Again, this is something where I would highly recommend just shopping around, finding a good price for yourself, waiting until you have a coupon. I believe I got this from Joann's, and this one cost me less than $20 in this size, and I definitely would have purchased it with a coupon. I don't buy anything full price, regular price from Joann's or Michael's anymore. Whoops, sorry about that. So those are the products that I use to put together the Budget by Paycheck workbook, this printable version of the workbook. I feel like this was kind of the best decision I ever made, switching from a printed version to the printable version. It just allows me to print the pages that I actually use. It allows me to print on really nice thick paper that works for me. It allows me to put it on discs, which just work better for me with regards to writing. And really, I couldn't be happier with how this workbook looks, and I'm so excited to be using it for 2022. If you have any questions about the products that I shared in this video or about printing the Budget by Paycheck workbook, please do not hesitate to put them down below. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.